Lock in, everyone. It's story time. And this story starts long, long ago, back when I was a freshman in college. In total time, that was probably 1 month ago. And at the end of my second semester, 1 month ago, I was taking a typography class. In my typography class, for my final project, I had to design a font and print out the font onto a white t-shirt and show up to the last day of class wearing it. So, that's the project. I actually made a YouTube short about this. Hold on. I ended up doing it based on my mother's handwriting. A couple of things I want to point out. Now they watched the video. I designed a font based on my mom's handwriting. This is her actual handwriting. This is the font. I printed out on the shirt. But this video did not go as planned. This video was a nightmare to do. But I guess I'll just start from the beginning. So, back to getting over it. I had already designed the font based on my mother's handwriting. The issue now was getting it onto a shirt so I could wear. One thing that I knew existed was a type of paper. I forget what it's called, but it's a type of paper that you can print something out on, and then if you apply heat, it'll transfer the type and the ink to cloth. So if I print out the sentence backwards on this piece of paper, it should transfer directly onto the shirt. Perfect. I can't see any issues with that. So I bought the paper. I procrastinated a lot, and so one day before I had to show up with the shirt in the next day of class, I hadn't actually applied the font to the shirt. I had already had it made, but I procrastinated to get it on there because I didn't think it'd be a big deal. I thought I'd just go to the library, print it out. I had an iron ready, and so I would just do it super quick. It wouldn't be a big deal. So when I started trying to do it early in that day, I noticed an issue. I printed out on this piece of paper, and the ink didn't show up because it's a really specific kind of paper. And when I went to the library, printed it out, the ink didn't show up. And I was confused, so I read the instructions on the paper, and it said that it needs specifically an inkjet printer, which is annoying. And I didn't really know too much about it, so I looked at what an inkjet printer is. I asked some people, and apparently it's an older type of printer that I guess it really injects the ink into the paper, I guess, so it's able to be transferred onto a cloth. But they're very old. Usually, a lot of shitty or smaller printers or printers people have in their homes are inkjet. But all of the modern printers that are on a college campus and a library are laser printers, which do not work with that kind of paper. And so I'm like, okay. I asked the people at the library if they know of a place that might have an inkjet printer. They give me a name of a place, and I go there. It's a different building at my college. It's just a class building. It's actually the building that my typography class is in. There's a lab at the bottom of it. There's a printing lab, and I go down. I ask for an inkjet printer, and they look at me like they haven't heard the word inkjet in 40 years. Like I'm some old ass man coming in here asking for how to use a fax machine. They know what I'm talking about, but they just look at me like I'm insane. And they say, no inkjet here. And so, the struggle continues. I do a lot of research. I find 2 other buildings that I have printing labs and stuff that I could check out. I find 2 printing stores that are downtown at the college campus that are used specifically for printing stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll check those out too. But I start with going to my major's building, which I'm a design major, and I go to the front desk and I say, hey, do you know of anybody that might have an inkjet printer in their office, or just one that I could use randomly, because it's smaller printers. So maybe one of my professors has one in their office. And they once again look at me like I'm insane and turn me away. I try 2 more college buildings. Both have never heard the word inkjet in the past millennia. Nothing on campus worked out. So I'm forced to go for my backup plan, which is going to visit these 2 print shops that are about a 20-minute walk from my dorm downtown on campus. And so I start walking over there. I go to one of the printing shops that I've printed out a book there previously for my photography class in the past, so I've worked with them before. I don't know if they have an inkjet, but it's worth asking. So I walk in, I ask about an inkjet, and they say, yeah, we have an inkjet printer. What do you need to print it out on? And I say I need to print on this piece of paper because I have this specific piece of paper that I brought with me. And they say, oh, actually, our inkjet can only print on giant slabs of paper that are like bigger than me as a person, and they are like for making like posters and other giant stuff, and that small piece of paper wouldn't work. And so I was like, okay, well, I kind of need a medium, normal size inkjet printer. And so that one was a bust as well. There was one more building that I could try. It's about like a 5-minute walk from where I already was. And so I approach them. I ring the little bell at the desk when I go in, and some guy comes out. He says that they print stuff out on shirts here. And I said, do you have an inkjet printer? And he says no. And I was like, okay, well, you print stuff out on shirts. Would you be able to like print out just one shirt, one order? Because I was like, okay, scrap this whole paper idea. I'll just get the shirt printed here so I can be done. And he said it would take a week because they have a lot of orders backed up. So I'm out of ideas. I call my mom. And keep in mind, I want to make this a surprise for her. I don't want her to know that I designed the typeface based on her font. I want to like show it to her and like surprise her. And so I don't tell her anything about I just tell her that I did design a font and print on a shirt. I didn't tell her anything about the actual story. And she's like, I wonder how cheap an inkjet is if you could just go to Walmart. We looked it up, me and my mother, and we found out that you could buy an inkjet printer for around $50, the cheapest one at Walmart. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? We don't really, want to spend $50 on this, but I guess for my project, if I kind of have to, this is my last resort. And so now the issue is finding a way to Walmart, because on my campus, Walmart is not a walking distance. And I do not have a car as a first-year college student. So that's a little bit of a dilemma. My options are my sister, who is a junior at the same college as me, has a car. I could either borrow hers or have her drive me, but she's in the middle of a class right now, and I kind of need to get this done. I have a couple friends that I've been hanging out with that have an apartment and have a car that are also freshmen, and I'm like, you know what? I wonder if they're going to be able to give me a ride. So I call my friend Erica, and she picks up immediately. I tell her what's up, and she says, oh, we're actually about to go to the grocery store that's right next to Walmart. We'll just pick you up on the way. And I'm like, okay, awesome. They're just going to go to Walmart. They said, Walmart has groceries. We'll just go there instead with you. Okay, perfect. I have a ride to Walmart. They pick me up. We're blasting some music on the way there. It's a great time. We get to Walmart. We find the printers section, and they don't have the $50 one in stock, the cheapest one that we could have gotten. It's not in stock. And so I'm like, okay. I'm looking around at the other smaller printers that they have, and the other one is $75. So, I'm like, okay, might just need to bite this bullet, buy a $70 printer. I mean, I'm thinking about it a little bit. I'm like, it might be nice to just have also a printer in my room, because I print a lot of stuff out in the library. Like, just having one in my room could be convenient. I do a lot of printing. And so I decide, you know what? I'm just going to buy it. And that's when Erica speaks up. Erica is like sitting there with me, like, while I'm looking at the printers. And she's like, I think I have one of these at my apartment. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, no, I think I have one of this brand. And then she looks up the version of printer that she has. She looks up, is it an inkjet? And it says yes. And so I have access to an inkjet printer. After they get all their groceries, we leave the Walmart and we make the trek back to Erica's apartment, where she shows me her printer. She has 2 really cute dogs. I'm playing with her dogs and she's getting the printer set up. I love them so much. And the printer isn't connecting to my computer. And so I try connecting it to my phone and sending the file over to my phone. And it isn't connected to my phone. And I'm sitting on her couch trying to get this while they're just doing other stuff in their apartment. And I'm just like, trying to make this printer work. And after about, I would say 35 minutes maybe, she comes over and she like tries to help as well. She tries to connect it to her phone like she's done in the past with it, and it stops working. So now I'm sitting here, I'm waiting for this printer to work. It's about 5:30. Another part of the story I haven't mentioned yet is that same day, there was an end of the year esports banquet in the esports arena for everybody involved, and I'm a huge part of the esports club on my campus at 6 o'clock. So we are 30 minutes away, and their apartment is not a walking distance from campus. There is a bus that goes to and from it, or they could drive me back. And so I'm trying to get this printer to work. I really want to make it in time for this esports banquet. Eventually, Erica figures out what was wrong. It takes about an hour total. And so it is currently 6 o'clock. Erica figures out what is up. She prints it out. I have a couple different of the papers. I say, can you print out a couple just in case, I mess up the ironing thing? And so she prints out 3 papers with my designed sentence on it on my specific paper, and then I'm good. I have spent hours on this day trying to get this sentence printed on these papers and trying to find an inkjet printer, and I'm finally done and ready. And I end up taking the bus back to campus and showing up at the esports banquet about 30 minutes late, which is not that bad. I was hoping to get there on time, but it's not the end of the world. You might remember that printing out on the paper isn't the only thing that we have to do. We also have to iron it onto the shirt. And so I go to the esports banquet and I say, okay, after this banquet, we will figure out iron it on later. We will worry about that a different time. And so we do. The esports banquet lasts like about an hour or two, hang out with some people. It's really chill, pretty fun. And then I go back to my dorm. And so finally, I have the iron, I have the paper, I have the shirt. I piled a bunch of blankets and towels as a makeshift ironing board on my floor. You can actually see it in the, this is from the video that I posted about it. I piled a bunch of towels and on the ironing thing, and I'm like, makeshift ironing board. This is actually after the fact. And I finally get it done. I iron the thing onto the shirt, and when I set the iron down and peel the paper back, the iron is sat right in front of on the other side of it, and I am filming myself doing this because, trying to get shots for the video that I'm making about it. And so I reach over the shirt and the iron to grab my phone, and I burn my arm really bad on the tip of the iron. And just a great way to end out this awesome day. I actually still have a pretty huge mark. Let's see if you can see it on the video. There it is, this triangle mark right here. It's been about a month, and so the burn is not as bad. But you can see the triangle right there. That's the tip of this iron right here. And at the end of the day, we did end up getting the shirt made. We can see the shirt at the end. Me showing it off to my mom. We did end up showing up to class with it, and everything turned out okay. I went out of it wasting almost an entire day looking for a printer and also burning myself on accident. But you know what? I think it turned out alright. A huge thanks to Erica for letting me borrow her printer and figure out how that works. I had this little Easter egg. In the video I posted after this, I wore the shirt. I didn't know if anybody would notice. This is like my big end of the year. The shirt that I made in the last video here, in my next YouTube short, oh, that's too far. I wore it. You can see your dreams can come true right there on the shirt. It's a little bit of an Easter egg. I don't know if I've mentioned it to people yet, but throughout this entire video I was wearing it because I thought it would be kind of cool. But yeah, awesome. It was a fun project to work on, especially before I had all the issues with the printer and finding it, but sometimes it's how it goes.